Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for refusing to drop my ex-husband's last name? I, 56F, divorced my husband 2 years ago after 26 years of marriage. We have 4 kids, and the split was amicable. He came out as gay, and we mutually agreed to part ways. Changing my name wasn't a priority. Updating IDs, legal documents, and bank accounts would be a huge hassle. I still use his last name on official documents but go by my maiden name socially. Recently, he got engaged to a wonderful guy. I've been supportive of their relationship, but during my grandson's birthday party, my ex suddenly asked if I'd consider dropping his last name. His fiancée chimed in, saying it makes him uncomfortable that I still use it. I was caught off guard and awkwardly joked that unless they want to spend hours in lines at various government offices, I wasn't going to change it. My ex didn't laugh. He insisted it's about starting a new chapter and wants me to move on. The whole situation felt bizarre. For 2 years, it's never been an issue, and now they're ganging up on me. After the party, my ex called and argued that keeping his name makes it hard for his fiancée to feel like they're starting a fresh life. I countered that our kids still use the same name, and it would feel strange for me to be the odd one out. What really hurt was learning from my youngest son that his fiancée feels threatened by my name, assuming I'm clinging to some claim on my ex. I've made it clear I have zero interest in rekindling anything, but it feels like I'm being pressured to erase a part of my identity. My ex admitted his fiancée is uncomfortable because he sees me keeping the name as a power play. I feel like I'm caught between trying to keep peace and being forced into something just because his fiancée is insecure. They want me to go through the hassle of changing everything for their comfort. I told my ex that I'll consider it later, maybe after they're married and settled. But now, he's furious, saying I'm being petty and selfish. My friends think I should stand my ground, but my kids are divided. One thinks I should just give in to keep the peace, while the other agrees that it's ridiculous to change it just because his fiancée feels insecure. I'm frustrated. I don't see why a name on some legal documents is such a big deal, but they're making me feel like the villain. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to drop my ex-husband's last name even though he's getting remarried? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Don't change your name. I had my ex's name for 22 years and changing it is horrible. I have so much stuff in that name, but as you stated, it's your children's name and you will always be their mother. If the fiancé has an issue, it is too bad. If you change it, you will always be pissed at him for forcing you, and if you don't, he will have to get over it. Seriously, stand your ground on this one. It is horrible to change and he is trying to take control of you and your life. If he wins this one, it will be downhill from there with every choice you make regarding your kids and life events with the kids and the ex. I can just imagine the other demands he will make if he wins this one. Not the a-hole. Many people keep their ex's last name if they have children together, and it is such a lengthy and annoying process to deal with, especially if it's not something you actively feel the need to do for yourself. This seems to be more of a them issue that they need to work out as a couple. Why not suggest your ex-husband takes his partner's last name as an act of solidarity in forming this new family unit and see how he feels about not sharing that name with his children? He probably won't want to, which further justifies your point. Not the a-hole. If he sees it as that big of an issue, why doesn't the ex change his last name to his fiancée's? Win-win for everyone. You two no longer share the last name. They get to be completely each other's for a fresh start. Your children still share your name. It keeps the peace without making anything your issue. Because they see an issue with it, they have to be the ones to make the change. That's not just your ex-husband's last name. That is your last name. It became yours when you changed it 26 years ago. It is still yours and will be until you decide it won't anymore. Anyone else commenting about your name can mind their own business, because your name is definitely not it. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole? I choose my family. My parents always choose my brother. It's been like this my entire life. As a child, I never put them in the position to choose. That kept the peace and also didn't make me feel like crap about myself. I am the dependable child. I show up and always do the right thing. This is where things get tricky. My brother married into an awful family. Extremely entitled, snobby, and just very mean. They have always hosted Thanksgiving and it's just been something that my husband and I just go along with. Really to keep my parents happy. The last 2 Thanksgivings my sister-in-law's father has been incredibly mean to my 5-year-old. To the point where I reached out the day after Thanksgiving saying if this continues we will no longer celebrating holidays with them at all. We have seen them since and it's been fine but it's never been in their home and that's when the father's comfortable enough to be mean. This Thanksgiving my husband and I decide to plan a local trip for our family. We invite my parents and my brother's family. They all love the idea, but decline. Since my brother declined, my parents said that they can't pick between families, and of course picked my brother's. I expected it and I'm not even mad about it. My husband and I booked our trip anyways. We are not going to subject our children to a toxic Thanksgiving. Well, today I got the group text message about Thanksgiving plans. I sent a very friendly text back saying that we will be out of town etc. And now everyone is upset at me and blindsided although we have been discussing it for months. They thought because they declined the trip that we were not going on it. We are. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole, enjoy your excursion. Soak in the peace. Yes, make your child, you and hubby a priority. Remember them choosing him repeatedly really has nothing to do with who you are but rather, who they are. Thrive OP. OP replies. That's a really good way to view it. I guess I need to work on not taking it personal. Not the a-hole. Have fun on your trip. You don't owe them anything. Your child would rather spend time with just their parents on a fun trip than be dragged to a family party where they get belittled by others. Trust me, I know from experience. If they want to get upset at you for going on a trip that they declined to go on, that is their own problem. You're planning a cool, memorable holiday for your family and don't let them stop you. OP replies. I'm sorry you went through that too. It's not okay. Thank you for the encouragement. Not the a-hole. If they thought you were going to go with them after they declined. They don't value your opinion or space. OP replies. That's very true. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister who can't have kids that she does not get to be a part of naming mine and my wife's babies? My older sister, 34F, was born without the reproductive organs required to have a biological child. Because of her condition she also has some other health problems which disqualify her from adopting due to the uncertainty around her quality and length of life. She was aware for most of her life that she couldn't have biological children. That was discovered when she was still very young but the rest came throughout her 20s. She had dreams of motherhood and had lists of baby names she wanted to use. But she will never be able to use them on children that are hers. What I, 28M, did not know at the time was she had saved her baby names and was hoping she would get to name or help name my future children. My wife, 27F, and I are expecting our first child. We haven't announced the sex but my sister thinks we're having a girl and shared her girl names with us. We thanked her and said we, wife and I, would discuss what the name would be at some point. My sister looked upset by the response and she then shared her boy names thinking she got it wrong. We gave her the same response. My mom suggested a couple of months ago that it would be generous and kind to let my sister have some input. I told her we felt it was better if we named our child ourselves. My wife and I did look at the list, just to see if we liked any of the names. We did not. Names on the lists included Elizabeth, Hannah, Rosemary and Francesca for girls and James, Edward, Patrick and Michael for boys. Those just aren't to our preference. None of them were and there were more names. My sister mentioned the names again recently and she said we should pick Elizabeth for a girl and Michael for a boy. She said that's what she'd do if she were having the baby. I told her we hadn't made our mind up yet but we're still in discussions about it. She offered to help and I said no thanks, my wife and I want to figure it out between us. My sister said she wants to be a part of naming all our babies. That she would love to share all her endless thoughts on names that she'll never get to put into her own kid. I told her I understood she wanted that but my wife and I as parents would name our child and she does not get to be a part of that. I told her I understood that was hurtful to her but she does not get a say. I also asked her to please stop bringing it up. My sister told me I could let her have at least a little say in this, and I said sorry but no. She cried to mom, who thinks we should be more sensitive, while my dad told my sister I wasn't wrong and she needs to accept that she doesn't get to name our baby. My response has caused a divide among my parents and sister and me. It has been made clear my mom thinks I lack compassion and my sister believes I'm hurtful to her. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Congratulations on your upcoming baby, and also on setting and keeping personal boundaries. Of course your sister shouldn't be involved in your decisions about rearing your child, including its name. It's very sad about your sister's condition, but that doesn't change things. Your mom is being weird though, getting involved and trying to guilt you. Your dad is right. And you are right for setting a reasonable boundary together with your wife and sticking to it together. OP replies. I think my mom is putting some of her own heartache in the mix. She struggled with secondary infertility between having my sister and having me. I think it can make her more sensitive to what my sister is going through and make her more willing to think she should be accommodated. But it really isn't helping anyone. Not the a-hole. It's sad when someone's childbearing preferences, in any direction, aren't possible or aren't allowed. Adding in not being able to adopt makes that sadness even greater. But that doesn't mean she gets to take over parts of other people's experience of having children. You tried to be diplomatic, but her insistence has forced this conflict. Maybe you could have found gentler, kinder words, but I don't think any way you could have worded it would have prevented the hurt. OP replies. I'm not sure there was a way I could have worded it either. I have seen some suggestions online in the past that seemed overly harsh, sarcastic, or like they were giving hope for it to happen in the future. I didn't want to do any of those things. Not the a-hole. A touch odd that she's so fixated on your letting her choose the name of your children, as opposed to be expressing the desire to be an active and awesome aunt. I very much sympathize with her predicament, but that doesn't mean she gets to name your kids. If she wants to name living things so much, she could get cats or dogs, or her chosen preference of pets. OP replies. I think for her, using the names she had previously chosen would bring her some happiness. So much that she's wishing we'd let her do it for our child and future children. But it isn't something we'll okay, and I wish she could find some acceptance for that because I think it's adding to her hope, this wish for us to just change our mind when it won't happen. Next story. Am I the a-hole for shaming my sister for being pregnant and refusing to help her at all with any expenses? I, 24F, have a twin sister, Ashley, and we've always been close. She started dating this guy a year ago, Jared, 32M. I never really liked him, but my sister was head over heels in love with him and said she wanted to marry him. This summer I was at the grocery store when a woman with 3 kids came up to me in the aisle and asked if I was Ashley. I said no and was about to say we're twins when she cut me off and said, yes you are. You're dating my deadbeat baby daddy and want to stalk my pages, leaving hate messages saying he chose you over us and to move on. How heartless are you? I was like, what the F? I am not Ashley, I'm her twin sister, Blair, and asked if she was talking about Jared. She said yes, and showed me the screenshots of my sister DMing her saying Jared is now hers, he doesn't claim those kids, blah blah. I was very uncomfortable, but I knew in my gut he was a weirdo. I was so shocked my sister would date a deadbeat, and proudly knowing how our father being a deadbeat sent us both to therapy. I just walked away. A few days later I asked my sister and she denied it at first, then admitted it, saying she didn't tell me he has kids since I personally don't date men with kids and she didn't want me to judge her. I told her I was judging the fact that he's a deadbeat, not a father. We argued about it a lot and I've looked at her differently since. Anyways, this week she invites me over and her and Jared tell me she's pregnant and are both so happy. I just sit there silently and kept eating. She asked why I was acting like a bad woman and why aren't I happy to be an aunt, and I said because of, and gestures towards Jared. He got mad and said, what's your problem with me, and I said because you're a deadbeat. They both got quiet and he said, that doesn't mean I'll be one for this kid. At that point I laughed and got up to leave. I'm in the hallway on the way to the elevator when my sister comes running behind me and keeps asking why I'm being so rude while she's sobbing. I told her that she should be ashamed to be pregnant by a guy that abandoned his other kids and knowing that happened to us, and that she's disgusting and a loser and he's gonna leave her like he did his ex. She said I don't know the full story and she can't believe I would be not supportive in this time of her life, and the baby has half my DNA too. I felt bad and said I would try to be there for her, but she'll realize what a mistake she made. Then I left. Now she's texting me saying she wants to come back and apologize to Jared, and I refused, and she said that she doesn't want to speak to me if I don't apologize to them. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Info: when did your sister ask you to help with her expenses? That's the question in your title, but there isn't anything about it in the post. OP replies: I tried to keep it under 3K characters, but her and Jared live with 2 other roommates and she pays the bills since he has to pay child support. When she texted me to apologize, she asked me if I could help plan the gender reveal and baby shower with her and pay for half since it's my niece/nephew, and I said no, but I would attend. Your sister is no better than her deadbeat baby daddy. Harassing a poor woman with 2 kids. Not the a-hole. Some people have to learn hard lessons on their own. You did what you could, now she has to live with the consequences. I get that by being a twin, it might be harder to stand by and watch. However, you gave her the proverbial kick in the butt, it's all on her now. Who knows, we may all be surprised by the outcome, but be prepared when she starts her apology tour. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister and her family that they have to stay somewhere else even though they lost everything? My 30F sister, 26F, lost everything. They live in North Carolina in one of the small towns that were hit. I will not say which one for privacy. Luckily they were not home when it happened. Instead, they were off in Illinois for my wedding. They have been staying with me for around 3 weeks now. Both my sister and myself have children. She has a 5F, 3F, 1M. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old who gets into everything. I have absolutely everything locked. Cabinets, door handles, appliances, outlet covers, you name it. This is 100% needed with my toddler. Since day one of my sister being here, she has been complaining about all of the locks. She thinks they are a pain and will constantly leave everything unlocked just so she doesn't have to deal with it. My toddler, and hers, have been getting into absolutely everything. It's dangerous for them, it's a mess, and quite frankly, it sucks. I have tried talking to her about it, but now, she's trying to play the guilt game because she lost everything and we said she could stay here. I get it, it sucks. It's absolutely devastating to have nothing to go home to. She hasn't even fully processed it yet, but this is still my home. Yesterday, I reached my absolute limit with it when my toddler got into my cleaning closet. Luckily all he got a hold of was the broom. I admit, I yelled at my sister. She started yelling back about losing everything. I yelled it wasn't my fault it happened and told her she needed to find somewhere else to stay. I feel awful now. She's still here while she figures something out, but we haven't said a word to each other since. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. When your sister pulls the "we've lost everything," tell her that her family is all safe, so she should count her blessings. And that your childproofing of your home is to prevent further loss of harm to what is most precious, the children. You were kind enough to let her stay in your home, and with young children herself, I'm frankly amazed that she isn't more concerned with harm coming to them. We had every gadget for cabinets, doors, stairs, faucets, outlets, cords, etc. That is what parents are supposed to do. Tell her that while you feel empathy for them and their situation, you will not put the safety of the children and their well-being at risk. You have nothing to feel sorry or guilty for. It is your home, and she's not being very respectful or grateful for the help you offered to her family. Not the a-hole. You're providing a safe space for both of your families, and your home should still feel like your own. It's understandable that your sister is going through a rough time, but safety for the kids is non-negotiable. Boundaries are important, especially when it comes to keeping the kids out of harm's way. You've tried to be understanding, but it's okay to protect your space and sanity too. Hopefully, with some time and communication, things will settle down. Not the a-hole. You provided shelter for her and her family in her time of need, and she has the audacity to complain about how you let her live in your own house. Her losing her own home does not give her the right to criticize where you live and your decisions in your own home, especially after you are granting her shelter. If your house and your rules aren't good enough for her, maybe she should find someplace else to stay. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.